First things first, I just want to give a quick apology to everyone out there who is expecting me to give me my thoughts on Summerslam on Sunday. I apologize, but for some ungodly reason, I was really tired that night and I just could not watch Summerslam. I got to the CM Punk and Brock Lesnar match and I just had to go to sleep. You've got to remember, SummerSlam is on from 1 till 4 in the morning here in the UK, and that is pretty damn late, especially when you have to be at work early, etc. the next day. So I just couldn't watch it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be giving you my quick thoughts on SummerSlam in this video, and then I'm going to do the usual Smackdown review. So if you have any comments on SummerSlam, what you thought of that and this edition of Smackdown, then please leave them in the comment section below and I'll respond accordingly. So now I'm going to give you my brief thoughts on SummerSlam. I thought the opening of SummerSlam 2013, the Kane and Bray Wyatt Ring of Fire match, was really disappointing, and a really disappointing way to start off a Big Four pay-per-view in my opinion. I mean, I guess it comes down really to the gimmick. The Ring of Fire gimmick seems really cool, and it seems like one of those gimmicks that could really make a match a lot better. I guess a lot of people were thinking Kane versus Undertaker in the Inferno match back in the Attitude Era, but in my opinion, the gimmick ended up really hurting this match. It was kind of cool to see the fire raise up and everything, but I guess at the end of the day, despite a disappointing match and Rowan and Harper interfering and managing to get through the fire, at the end of the day, Bray Wyatt gets a signature win in his debut match at SummerSlam against an Attitude Era star in Kane, which is a good way of starting Bray Wyatt's rise to TV, of course. And it looks like they're writing Kane off TV in some kind of way, and I do wonder what they're going to be doing with Kane going forward. Is he going to join the Wyatt family? Is he going to be off TV filming or something? But at the end of the day, a disappointing opener, but a match which really gets a new star on the radar for WWE, hopefully going forward. I was really looking forward to the match between Damien Sandow and Cody Rhodes, an example of a really good mid-card feud that I've been really enjoying the build-up to and was really looking forward and expecting a lot for in the second match on the show. And to be honest, I think this match suffered from a lack of time. I mean, it really only went about 7 minutes, I believe. If you gave this an extra 5, 6, 7 minutes, this could have been a really good match between these two. But I think because of them taking the Ring of Fire stuff up and taking it back down again, that may have affected the timing on this match, which is kind of understandable. As for the result, Cody Rhodes winning here, I think this is the first pay-per-view he's had as a babyface, so you kind of had to give him a win to really start that babyface turn off strongly. And generally, it's the case that with WWE and their Money in the Bank winners, especially when they're heel, that they have them lose pretty much most of the time anyway. And I'm guessing the reason why the Money in the Bank wasn't on the line, which a lot of people thought may happen, was so that Cody Rhodes could win the match and they wouldn't have to take the briefcase off Damien Sandow, who they have bigger plans for down the line. It's just a shame that even though this match was short and maybe a tad disappointing in my opinion, that they had the same match on Raw a day later, kind of devaluing the fact they just had a match on pay-per-view. Going into this pay-per-view, I really didn't care about the match between Alberto Del Rio and Christian for the World Heavyweight Championship. I really didn't. I just really don't care about Del Rio's title reign. I'm really not that bothered about Christian as a main event #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. I didn't buy for 1 minute that Christian was going to win it. For me, it just screamed out filler match. And I guess the best we could have expected from this was for these two to have a really good match, and that's exactly what happened here. These two went out there and had a pretty good match for the time it got given, which was about, I believe, about 12, 13 minutes. So it was a good match, which Del Rio wins by submission, which I guess is pretty much what we could have expected from this match, which was essentially a filler World Heavyweight Championship match for Del Rio at a signature pay-per-view. We all know why Natalya versus Brie Bella was on the card. It was there because of the Total Divas show that WWE are part of right now, and the fact that it is getting some pretty damn good ratings. I believe last week it did a 1.7 rating, which is a lot better than what TNA are doing right now. So even though I didn't really care about this match between Natalya and Brie Bella, I could at least understand why it made the main card. They probably wanted to bring some viewers over from that TV show, possibly would buy at the pay-per-view and try and get a couple more buys out of people that way. So I can understand that, even though I felt that RVD versus Ambrose, despite the lack of build it had, deserved a place on the main card rather than pre-show. But there we go. And I'll say this about the match. The Divas really tried. I mean, they went out there, they got a good amount of time to put on a match, more time than Cody Rhodes and Damien Sandow got, I believe, and they really tried to put on a good match. It's just a shame the crowd kind of shit all over this. Now, I can understand if the crowd don't care, but when you're chanting for pretty much anything else other than the Divas, it just gets a bit disrespectful in my opinion. But that's crowds for you sometimes. They're sometimes very vocal in what they want and what they don't want. Look at John Cena, for example. So yes, so Natalya ends up winning this match. I didn't really care about it, but there you go. Other people will, I won't, it's just personal preference. You know, going into CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar, I expected a good match out of these two, and exactly this is exactly what they delivered. It was the kind of middle of the card, sort of semi-main event marquee match that kind of makes SummerSlam that much better, in my opinion. You've got two recognizable names in Brock Lesnar and CM Punk, two guys who know exactly what they're doing in the middle of that ring in a no DQ match, and they went out there and they delivered a damn good match, in my opinion. And Brock Lesnar winning after the Heyman distraction, you know, I kind of thought it may be better if they gave CM Punk the win here, but apparently news has come out recently that they want Brock Lesnar to fight Undertaker at WrestleMania. So in my opinion, they had to have Brock Lesnar win if that is going to be the case. Otherwise, Brock Lesnar isn't going to look as much of a threat going against the Streak as he did before. So in my opinion, CM Punk losing in the way he did, at least that gets him more over as a babyface, while they gave Brock Lesnar a win here. And to be honest with you, CM Punk losing here isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because look at it this way, he went up against a legit UFC pro fighter in Brock Lesnar and took him to the limit, and it was only because of Paul Heyman that Brock Lesnar won. So in that case, CM Punk lost, but it made him look better because he lost, in my opinion. All I will say about Dolph Ziggler and Caitlyn versus Big E Langston and AJ Lee was that it did its job as a crowd filler to give the crowd a rest between CM Punk and Lesnar and the main event, and it got Dolph Ziggler a pay-per-view victory, even though it wasn't really about him. We really couldn't expect anything more from this match, really, in my opinion. So at least, if anything else, it did its job as a card structuring device on the pay-per-view and gave Dolph Ziggler a signature pay-per-view victory, which he does lack. Now it's time for me to talk about the main talking point of this pay-per-view, which was what happened in the match between John Cena and Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. I mean, let's first talk about the match. I mean, the match was damn good. I mean, you've got Daniel Bryan in there who knows exactly what he's doing in the ring. Generally, John Cena brings it in events like this when he's in the ring with the right guy, and I think he was in the ring with the right guy in Daniel Bryan, who can control the match and slow John Cena down a little bit. And they ended up having a pretty good match. I mean, that's all I can really say about this. They had a pretty good match. Daniel Bryan ends up beating John Cena clean with the running knee, and that's good. You know, Daniel Bryan is beating a guy like John Cena clean. And then you have the post-match. So in the post-match, we have Daniel Bryan celebrating for a good couple of minutes, Randy Orton coming out to cash the Money in the Bank, Triple H turning heel and pedigreeing Daniel Bryan to allow Randy Orton to cash in Money in the Bank and pin him 1, 2, 3, despite pretty much doing nothing. And I guess the question I have for you guys is, do you think that, which scenario do you think would have made Daniel Bryan more of a star? Daniel Bryan beating Cena clean and celebrating to end the show, or the scenario that happened at SummerSlam with the big angle potentially leading to a bigger storyline down the line and potentially a bigger payoff for Daniel Bryan? One big piece of news that came out at SummerSlam was the fact that John Cena is going to be taking 4 to 6 months off. Now, whether that is true, I think he'll return at the Rumble. That's just me personally. But that means now that WWE have a new top babyface in Daniel Bryan, believe it or not. So they put over Daniel Bryan in a big way. They've now put him up against this massive heel faction in Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Vince McMahon, and Randy Orton. And they're making him the main babyface going after that. Kind of Austin-esque, if you ask me. So in my opinion, this main event, while some people may say, oh, Daniel Bryan lost, and they really sort of halted the momentum on Daniel Bryan, in my opinion, it's made Daniel Bryan into a bigger star and thrust him into the top babyface spot in WWE. And obviously, this is going to lead to a Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton feud. I'll say this about John Cena. He gets a lot of boos, but the guy did his best considering the fact that he had a fucked up elbow and tricep, and went out there when he needed surgery and put on a damn good match and put over Daniel Bryan clean. So I will say that. As for the angle that happened on Raw with the new McMahon-Helmsley Corporation going up against Daniel Bryan, you know, of course, this is probably going to further along a storyline between Triple H and Vince in the long run. But for now, even though I'm not watching Raw, I can see why people may be excited to watch Raw because of this new big angle involving some big names like Triple H, Randy Orton, and Vince McMahon. But the bottom line is now, Daniel Bryan is getting a lot more sympathy from the crowd because of what happened and because of the fact he's going up against the corporate WWE now in Triple H and their corporate champion in Randy Orton. I'll give more of my thoughts on this as the storyline goes forward, but for now, I thought the ending to SummerSlam was pretty good and set up something that could be quite good down the line for WWE. And it's first Daniel Bryan now, and it's given us someone new. It's given us someone new in the main event scene in Daniel Bryan, and John Cena is now going to be taking some time off, which he desperately needs, we desperately need, and when he comes back, hopefully he'll come back and people will cheer him and get behind him a little bit more. Now, my overall thoughts on SummerSlam, it was a good SummerSlam in my opinion. A lot of people have been saying best SummerSlam of since 2002. I say this was a good SummerSlam. There was a lot on there that I kind of didn't really care too much about or didn't really come off as well as I thought it would, but Punk and Lesnar was a damn good match. The main event I thought was a pretty good match, and the main angle was pretty good. Del Rio and Christian put in there, they put in a damn good match. So the stuff in between did its job to make the marquee matches seem a lot more important. So I'd say SummerSlam was a good to very good pay-per-view in my opinion. But I think some people out there are overrating it a tad personally. Now it's time for me to go and give my thoughts on this week's edition of Smackdown. So after the big angle that happened at SummerSlam with Triple H turning heel, Randy Orton cashing in Money in the Bank on Daniel Bryan that had just beaten John Cena clean, it came as no surprise that as it was dominated on Raw as well, that this storyline was opening and main eventing SmackDown this week. Obviously, Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and Vince McMahon had much better things to do this Friday night than be part of SmackDown. I think they're saving them a lot for Raw by the looks of it. But as for this segment between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan opening this show, in my opinion, a heel Randy Orton is much, much better than a face Randy Orton, even though his mic skills are still average at best. Daniel Bryan coming out and talking about how pretty Orton is, you know, you can draw your own conclusions from that, but there was something about this segment for me that really just wasn't clicking. I don't know what it was, but I can understand what WWE are trying to do here. They're trying to do this corporate image storyline, which is Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan sort of climbing the ladder of success. You're not the kind of guy that we'd usually push to the top kind of storyline. And that has a lot of shoot elements to it. As we know, Randy Orton is the kind of guy that WWE would generally push to the main event. As we've seen, he's a 9, 10-time world champion now. And, you know, generally when there are more storyline shoot elements involved, generally I feel the storyline is better because it's more involved from real life and you can get more emotionally invested into it. And I imagine a lot of Daniel Bryan fans out there that can kind of resonate with what Daniel Bryan is saying with him not being the prettiest, but he's the best damn wrestler out there. I imagine a lot of internet fans will be getting very, very much behind Daniel Bryan right now. Now that they've seen their champion, you know, get their championship for a second and then all of a sudden had it taken away from them. So they'll get behind more Daniel Bryan that way as well. Not to mention the fact that from this storyline, Triple H is now a heel, and that's definitely better than a face Triple H in my opinion. So even though I didn't think this segment was really all that great to open SmackDown, you're establishing that Daniel Bryan wants a rematch at Night of Champions, and you're establishing Randy Orton is now the new top heel, and now you're establishing this big angle storyline that's probably going to dominate a lot of Raw and probably now dominate a lot of SmackDown without the McMahons being involved in there. So fresh off not being involved at SummerSlam and losing to CM Punk in a street fight on Raw, Curtis Axel had a kind of random let's get him on TV match against Cody Rhodes. It was just kind of felt random and sort of out of the ordinary, really. Rhodes has now lost the one thing that got him over, which is his mustache. So it'd be interesting to see how the crowd reacts to him now he hasn't got that mustache, kind of like I have right now. And after beating Damien Sandow twice, once on pay-per-view and once on Raw, boy, was I surprised when Axel just beat him 100% clean. I was just really surprised. I just thought maybe there'll be some kind of screwy finish, DQ finish. I'm like, if you're going to push Cody Rhodes like this, if you want to give Curtis Axel a bit of heat, you can at least give him a DQ finish or something like that, or a count-out finish. I don't know. I didn't feel like Curtis Axel should have been going over Cody Rhodes 100% clean here, especially once it got to the point where it was really just about using this match and Paul Heyman's promo to set up a Heyman-Punk feud and setting up Axel versus Punk 2 on Raw. So it kind of just felt like Cody Rhodes was just, after being in this feud with Damien Sandow, it kind of just felt like Cody Rhodes was just in and then bleh. All I will say about Dolph Ziggler versus Big E Langston was Ziggler got a clean win over Big E Langston. Now, can you please move Dolph Ziggler onto something better now that doesn't involve AJ Lee so he can stand out on his own? As we saw at SummerSlam 2013, Christian and Alberto Del Rio had a pretty good match for the World Heavyweight Championship. And in WWE's logic, they think, well, they just had a good match at a Big 4 pay-per-view. Let's just make the rematch on the next edition of SmackDown on free TV in the hour main event on the B show. I mean, your World Heavyweight Championship rematch couldn't even main event the B show. I mean, it just shows you how little now WWE think of the World Heavyweight Championship, in my opinion. It seems really like this segment was really more there to get Del Rio away from Christian and move him on to RVD, who it seems like is going to be the new #1 contender going after Alberto Del Rio now. I mean, you've got Ricardo Rodriguez being the announcer for RVD after his split from Alberto Del Rio. And I guess, even though I don't think RVD needs a ring announcer, he doesn't need someone to talk for him. I guess this is just for storyline purposes, as they're going to be doing some kind of feud between RVD and Del Rio now, so they're just including Ricardo Rodriguez in there for storyline purposes. And as for RVD going after the World Heavyweight Championship, you know, since John Cena, the top babyface on Raw, and Sheamus, the top babyface on SmackDown, have been injured, a couple of weeks ago when he first returned, I would have said no to RVD in the World Heavyweight Championship picture. But now I don't think it's that bad of an idea, because you've got 2 big babyface injuries there. And RVD is one of the bigger babyfaces and more over babyfaces on the WWE, and more importantly, the Smackdown brand right now. So why not send him after Alberto Del Rio? I guess my main issue with this, and it's something that you guys can discuss in the comment section below, as even though you're throwing RVD at him, who is a recognizable the past WWE star, can they really put over Del Rio any more than they already have? I mean, they've tried everything to put over Alberto Del Rio. It seems like Vince McMahon has made it his pet project to try and put over Alberto Del Rio, make him into some kind of household name. But it really hasn't worked. So really, is RVD going after Del Rio and beating him really going to do all that much for Del Rio in the long run? As I said on the last segment of the SmackDown review, it now seems like WWE are about 2 big babyface stars in John Cena and Sheamus due to quite serious injuries. Now, this means that WWE now are going to have to try and push some new babyface stars. We knew this was going to happen at some point soon. We knew that John Cena was eventually going to have to be taken off TV to have surgery to repair some kind of injury or something. And it seems like on Raw, they're pushing Daniel Bryan as the top babyface. That's a good thing. It's someone new in there. So I do wonder what superstar will get Sheamus's top babyface spot on SmackDown. And I don't think RVD is going to be that person. You know, he's not a new star, he's an older star. He's not going to be there for very long if he does. So I guess my question to you guys is, who would you like to see as the top babyface on the SmackDown brand while Sheamus is away doing his injury? I imagine a lot of you may say Dolph Ziggler, some of you may say Cody Rhodes. I'm just interested to hear who you guys think should be getting this Sheamus's spot or a push on SmackDown on the main roster right now. At SummerSlam, we didn't get a US Championship match, an IC Championship match, a Tag Championship match, or a Divas match on the actual pay-per-view card. So it looks like now WWE going into Night of Champions have got 4 titles to build for now, and they're starting to do it with the Tag Team Championship. They got Big Show and Mark Henry versus 3MB, with Big Show pinning Drew McIntyre of all people. So it looks like we're going to be seeing the match which we didn't get at SummerSlam, and we're going to be seeing the Shield versus Big Show and Mark Henry at Night of Champions. You know, this was the catalyst. We knew it was going to be happening with, with that thing they did at SummerSlam on the pre-show. So this really came as no surprise. It's just starting off this feud. They had a backstage segment with the Shield, interaction there, and it's just standard stuff really to start off this Tag Team Championship feud. And once again, the Shield just don't feel like an important part of the show. It just, something's happened there. I don't know what, but the Shield just felt like a menial part of SmackDown this week once again. Are we seeing a second tag team feud on WWE right now? Darren Young versus Antonio Cesaro? You know, we should have known, I guess, after Young came out saying that he was gay, that WWE would probably cash in on this and give him some kind of push and some kind of publicity. So it was really no surprise that Darren Young went over Antonio Cesaro here, but at least this means now the primetime players are babyface, and WWE need babyface tag teams, so that is a good thing. You can see exactly why the crowd would want to get behind the primetime players, and they were kind of fighting the grain a lot during the latter months of them being a heel tag team. So Darren Young getting the win over Antonio Cesaro, discussed below. I know I keep saying this week after week, but this Ryback Bully character is just so stupid. Can we please make him into a babyface again, WWE, or do something different with the Ryback character after you frickin' ruined it? To be honest with you guys, I really don't have all that much to say about SmackDown's main event this week between Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett. I imagine a lot of YouTubers that are reviewing SmackDown will probably say this match was pretty good between Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett in a cage match, but I guess me being a little bit different from other YouTubers, being a bit more opinionated, I guess, and being, I guess some people may say, controversial in his opinions. Well, I just say this. I really didn't care all that much about this match. And it's mainly because I'm tired of seeing the same matches all the time. It seems like every week Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett face off in some kind of match. And I'm just really tired of seeing it right now. And it's going to get to the point where if Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett feud down the line, I've seen these guys face off so many times, I'm not going to care about it. But anyway, Daniel Bryan gets the victory here. After the match, we had Orton attacking Daniel Bryan with an RKO from under the ring after the match, trying to get as much heat on Randy Orton now as a heel as much as possible, and trying to get as much sympathy for Daniel Bryan as possible as well. The crowd were going mental for Daniel Bryan with the yes, yes, yes chants. This shows that he is over and has every right to be the top babyface in WWE right now, going up against this new corporation faction they've got with Randy Orton being the corporate WWE champion, I guess. So a decent way to end SmackDown, in my opinion. As for my overall thoughts on this week's edition of SmackDown, it was a decent show. I guess you could say it was good follow-up from SummerSlam. I guess the best thing about post-SummerSlam or post-pay-per-view SmackDowns is that we see new feuds and new stuff and how that's going to escalate. And we've got Del Rio and RVD, which could be semi-interesting. Looks like that the Orton and Daniel Bryan thing is going to dominate Raw and also SmackDown as well. So we got some new direction here and there going into Night of Champions. And WWE, instead of having 4 titles that are off the card this time, they're going to have to build up to a US Championship match, an IC Championship match, a Tag Team Championship match, and a Divas Championship match. So let's see how well WWE do that. I have been Mr. Parkin on behalf of the British Fist. Leave your comments on anything I've said about the SmackDown show or SummerSlam in the previous review down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this video if you have, and goodbye.